Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Okay, well, good afternoon. I'm Chairman of the Parks Board. We have Parks Board members here, Diane Tyson, Chris Creason, and Frank Hollingsworth. And apparently our member Bruce Hess is not here today. We also have Township Manager Ralph Hutchinson, Charlie Thomas, Director of Public Health, and Hitchens, Assistant Township Manager. Okay, so I don't think if there's anything else. Okay, so I guess it's time to pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the United States and to the states of the nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So has everyone read the minutes of the meeting from March 22nd? Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Okay, all in favor? Okay. Public concerns and comments. So we have a couple of guests here tonight. So I guess we have Mr. Cody here first.
Yeah, thank you. Nice seeing everybody, meeting you.
Okay. All right, sure, we're ready.
So, years ago, I'm Doug Cody, and I'm part of the CBU basketball board. I've been there for 21 years, and a couple of years ago, I noticed a court off Greenland Drive, a nice court, and it was starting to fall in disrepair. And so I tried the house there. I visited numerous times, tried my said I wanted to purchase it or rent it or something because I thought that area was right for a basketball court. And I know back then, I think it was 4 years ago, I counted like there was 83 kids in that Greenland area drive alone that were in our basketball program and sort of without a court. So I tried, got a couple Stonewall responses, and I might have purchased that land and I kind of gave up. And I'm an East St. Peter resident, love the parks, walked through Flory Park numerous times and thought it'd be good to have a basketball court there. So my wife and I pledged 50,000, and we might be interested in raising more for something like that. I put myself on the agenda, or you guys did nicely a month or so away, so I'd be better prepared with companies and things I have been. I've looked at, seen some other groups. A lot. So right now it's a financial pledge. I don't know if there's even bond or something that the board would be interested or the township. I would not only interested in building or having a court built, but very interested in staying with it as far as programming. Some youth leagues. Because I've seen courts built and then they're empty after the initial excitement. Make an effort to continue to be involved, and also in the maintenance too. I'm always worried about that, although I'm impressed that Flory Park doesn't seem to be vandalized too much. That's impressive, I think. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm sure you have plans, and so I don't want to. I did just take a picture of where I thought it would go. She might have other plans. I think everybody knows the pavilion out there, and there's like a fairly flat area, kind of borders the lane that goes back to the baseball lot, and it just seems to me like the dimensions would almost be perfect. They could step it off, it would fit with all the residents would feel. They would have lights, so it wouldn't be nighttime where they'd be playing, I guess. And But that's my comments. If anybody's interested, I do more work. Votes or that's something out of my league, so that's where I'm at. But I mean, the 50,000 is what we would pledge to do that, and like I said, if I found it, which I probably will, that it's way more than a score, I do fundraising and try to raise
You're
additional.
looking at just one full-size court or?
You know, some people ask, well, what about one? I was thinking one nice court, and so I can understand. I saw, for instance, the full court, I took videos about it technologically sound, send it to you, but something or someone that's with a company that so surface and talking about it, didn't get it because I again presumptuous and something can be done with it. I thought that's nice, little 3 stand bleachers. Same thing, maybe a shed with equipment in case, you know, for run programs over there or something. Didn't know kind of electricity, but even think about a little scoreboard that'll raise. So that's what I'm at. That's servants, so you probably want me to do more, I would imagine.
Did you mention, were you thinking, was there a fence going around it or not?
Well, this picture had a fence, but it was pretty open, so now I didn't. The contours there kind of nice with the trees and the lane. I'd be interested in any input from anybody.
Between the concession stand and the pavilion, then I know exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which we had walked there, he said, oh, potentially could be like a field or something.
yes. I mean, I'm not right at that particular location. I saw.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Where would it go? Just show. Right behind the pavilion.
Between the pavilion and the concession stand.
It actually makes it look thin, like it wouldn't fit, but it's actually, are these trees here? They, yeah. So it kind of, I mean, stepped off, you know, doesn't have to be 90 feet as a full high school court. I often think maybe a little less would attract 4-on-4 games and stuff, but even if the dimensions were 96 by 56 feet, it fits in there pretty maybe. Gonna step that off.
How far are the houses from there?
Yeah, I mean, they're here. Yeah, maybe that's right. I kind of thought far enough that it wouldn't be a tremendous nuisance. Of course, maybe if I lived there, it might
You
think.
do have the, I mean, you do have the trees there, you know, you do have some sound buffer there, so.
That would be my
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, there's some areas down here, but they're kind of down the hill and it makes me nervous with like stuff that, yeah, wet and people doing things down there that, you know.
because I'm thinking there's trees here, but isn't there a little bit of trees on the other side?
Yeah, there's some distance. It's set back a little bit.
So there's a tree buffer on there.
Certainly a lot of baseball activity that would be close by that, you know, I don't think anybody's complained about that I know, but.
Basketball court certainly not in the plans we have, but you know, it's not.
Well, and we used to have basketball courts behind H&F Lafayette Fire. The fire company was
Yeah.
Yeah,
on the highway. There was a basketball court behind there, but when the fire company took that portion of the park over, those courts were abandoned.
And unfortunately,
So I don't think, we don't have any in any of our parks.
like you said, you know, you saw some are in disrepair, and the big thing with basketball courts is the maintenance on them and stuff, and try and keep after them into vandalism. Unfortunately, you know, that's unfortunately a downside of what you see with basketball courts. You know, sometimes there's a lot, people congregate, the language and things, and they always want to bring it. Because I know right now, unfortunately, New Holland's thinking of taking theirs down. They're having problems with vandalism, graffiti, congregating, you know, foul language, all kinds of stuff. And they're considered, you know, right where it is down there. That's unfortunately the bad part about that. So it'd have to be something that would.
I want to say, because I did the story that court, it was kind of mad. So I was like, I'm going to do this a long time, and it was in the paper in the.
Oh, it's so nice.
Build it, which
They're so nice. They're nice courts, but unfortunately, you know, they're attracting wrong kind of people, but it's no there, there's something. If
I
it's.
mean, I would be invested in staying involved, but I'm not going right the other end. I'm not living there, so I agree that could be a problem.
Yeah,
Yes, we're looking at stormwater management issues too, with, because it could be solid surface.
If it is solid surface, that would come into play. If it's a solid pervious surface, there may be other options.
Now, I'm sure the composite is not exactly impervious, I would guess, but maybe there is some now. I don't know. Might be
I don't know
interesting.
how well that holds up with constant play.
Yeah, the pervious paving has a larger aggregate, it's not filled in, so there are gaps and things, so. Rubberized surface like Mr. Cooley's talking about would be a solid impervious surface, so you have to deal with stormwater in some.
Yeah. I think, I'd like to say at the very beginning, I want to thank you for the generous offer. We'll have to try and figure out what the best move is to.
I no problem with it myself. Yeah, again, I don't think it's something we don't at any of our parks.
Yeah.
I think the location makes sense. There's parking there. It's accessible from both areas of the parking that are there. Say lights would be down the road. You know, I think we'd have to probably do things in steps and get it built, and then see what priorities. Would priority be fencing? Would it be lighting? Depending on the usage of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think probably the fencing before people run out in front of cars.
Oh, I-
Some of those cars down there.
It's actually put it,
Yeah, think about
it's a use before you decide what the priorities would be.
it. People were flat down that road with baseball. Somebody hit there. Fortunately.
It'd be the sound of the basketball, people and the neighbors, that would be a concern. Either more trees there or some kind of sound suppression wall, the one side.
For some reason, I have a recollection that not in the park property, but you know, the neighboring property, there's a homeowners association there, and there's some space, and for some reason, I think there's like a half court on the homeowners side. Already.
That's what he'd seen. Down in the store, down in the store.
Closer to it.
Yeah. One time. There.
Oh, okay.
Actually, yeah. They kept tearing the rims out. For some reason, they just finally stopped fixing it. They put them up 2 days, they were down again.
Wow. Your rim side. I had a rim outbreak plan, so I wouldn't have. I could go up and down, keep them at 10 feet.
That's why they stopped. So they used to, that was a homeowners association.
Well, what would be logical next step? Some type of engineering?
Design work will probably be the next step if that's something the park will pursue. You know, we can certainly communicate with the board to make sure that the supervisors don't have any major concerns about anything, and some level of design work to, at least in stages of design, come back to the park board and say, here's what we found, here's where we'd like to do it, here's what it would look like. As long as everybody continues to be comfortable with it, it proceeds.
I would add two things, you know, like for instance, you could say, well, if we did put lights on it, we could say that if the lights don't work, you have to, like, you know, pick a number, 10 o'clock, midnight, something like that. So they just don't work after that. The second thing is, what I like is the fact that it certainly fits in with, I mean, it certainly fits in with the character of this area. So it's not like anything, you know, out of the ordinary. In fact, it would probably be a nice complement to it. So that's the way I look at it. I think it would be a a benefit. So,
Anybody put a fence up and this is talking about vandalism, some kind of locking mechanism that people have to come here to get a key to. Responsible for locking them, key back, something like that, safety and.
But nobody here on Saturdays.
yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing about that we could do is that, you know, we can take it one step at a time to say what everybody else is, you know, basically don't try to deal with problems that you don't have yet at this point. You know, it's like,
We'd have to get engineering, you know, and cost estimate. And then decide if it's a go or no go, or, you know, if it's beyond. I would say, if you're willing to reach out to businesses and get some additional support, you know, financial support. It would probably help you have a number. You know, looking at. Is that something that is within the realm of our budget to be able to do something like that now, or is that something that would have to wait, or?
Well, we don't have anything in the budget for this project at this point, but, and as Mr. Cody said, he didn't really know how much it would cost. I have no idea how much it would cost either, so.
You can Google anything, you know, 30,000 to 100, yeah.
You're dealing with the government. Times 3.
If we do it as a township project, it will be more expensive than if it's done as some private cooperative venture that, you know, the money doesn't really flow through the township. It can be done less expensively. I am confident of that. So depending.
Baseball diamonds were done pretty much, or what? Did they do a lot of that, or we did all of it?
We
Excavating.
We did the first field. We had grant funding with that. There was township contribution. The second field was done as a donation. Of course, the pavilion was done as a.
Yeah, we would do it at the old prevailing wage, and that just skyrockets the cost.
yeah.
Done by private partnership.
And
In
there's,
terms of lighting, you know, the second ball field does have lights,
Yeah.
and they do shut off. I think it's 10 o'clock there.
that's what you're thinking, you know, that's one way to start.
Let's go back.
You're done. Well, what do we need to proceed? Yeah, I mean, that's what we need to do is what do we need to proceed? Do we need to just, do we need to add? Do the supervisors need to authorize the, you know, the expenditure to do the engineering?
I mean, I really, I'm looking into it more, coming back, like. I just don't want to be presumptuous, but if it's even possible, say I know somebody who knows these things, you just, you know, as a favor, say, give me some ideas. Price and types. Get a number or maybe or something.
That would be the logical first step to see if you had. Might be thinking $50,000, maybe $250,000 there. Then, you know, what's involved. And find out that first and see what's.
I think we're amenable to moving, you know, getting some more information and moving forward.
As I said, do we want to do a resolution to that effect? I mean, do we want to, do you need that to proceed? Hutch, you know, talk to the,
Well, if the next thing that's gonna happen is Mr. Cody's gonna get more information. I think what Mr. Cody's probably looking for is to find out if there was interest or willingness for this to happen. And hearing what he's heard, if he's comfortable with that, then he'll put more energy into it and come back to more information.
It's not going to be an every thing, stretch the imagination.
Yeah, I'm happy that I get out of be presumptuous that plans were already in place for that space or whatever. With even the possibility of that, I can look into further.
yeah, I think it's a great, I think it'd be a nice addition to the park. So we'd, you know, I think speaking for the board, I think we'd say, yes, we'd like to explore this further. So, and we appreciate your offer and your willingness to do this. So that's great.
Willing to get financing, that makes a whole big, that's a whole different story. You know, then
Hey, I don't know, there's money available somewhere. So, you know, cool. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah, let's appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Next up. Walk out this way. Okay.
Different part.
Okay.
So I've got my citizen volunteer hat on today. Supervisor hat. I've got some helpers. These are my kids. Bo
Now,
and Giovanni. We're working with Lafayette Fire Company and Susie Sutton. So they're putting on a big event on June 10th. They do a cook-off. They do a steak cook-off. The kids do a hot dog cook-off. There's food trucks. All of that's contained on the Lafayette Fire Company property. So what we're wanting to organize in conjunction with that is, and I've got a map here. It's a little better drawn than that one.
okay.
So what we're planning on is a 0.5K. So you may have heard of Bird in Hand Fire Company. They have their half marathon. If you want to train for that, the 0.5K, about 500 meters, which happens to be the exact distance of this walking path. It's 0.5K. And if you go all the way around that, you're fully trained for the half marathon. So the plan is we would have folks register online to sign up. They would give a cool hat, our company hat, and then potentially a little sticker that they can put on their car. You know, some people put a 26.2 on their car to brag that they went a marathon. You can brag that you did a point. So this is a race for everyone. We've got some aid stations, so you'll go through the start line. If you need to take a nap, do some yoga. We'll have a few yoga mats here, and then planning a donut station.
Oh,
Got
there
to
you
make
go.
sure you have enough energy to complete the race. This will be a dog-friendly event, so we'll have some dog toys and some water, and then looking at maybe a bacon station, or maybe we can get some of the steak from next door, and then you finish. So that's the plan. The goal is to try to make it a big community event. So we want to invite everyone in all the neighborhoods, most of whom can walk there. And then the goal is, once we have those, we're going to be going out finding sponsors who will then be able to set up a little out there, nonprofit or other group that'll be helping out. And then we'll encourage everyone to go over to Fire Company and visit the food trucks. And then we also do have, in the past, we've done a Amish Rules volleyball tournament. That's been at the volleyball corner in the past. We may not be able to get the volleyball corner, so they have done it in this ball field with spots. So we're looking to sort of find that as the event. We've talked with the baseball team, so they're not doing any practice that day, and they're in favor of the event as well. So that's what we're looking for, is permission to be able to use the park for a community event, do a really, really intense athletic event.
It's park all day then, pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, we're shooting for the afternoon. So we'll probably have the actual time for the actual, not everyone's going to walk it at the same time. So you can show up, walk through. So probably early afternoon until about dinner time is when we'd be using it. Not sure on the volleyball. So I put in the application. There's an application for the township as well to use any public stuff. So we figure we'd ask the park board for permission. Application with Ralph. We've got that just means we have the right insurance. But fire company's already named the township as an insurer in the past. We happen to have plenty of first responders on site to direct traffic. And if there's any fires,
Most people.
the parking, most of the parking will be in the park lots. We're looking at maybe 50 to 100 people this year. So last year we did it, or they did, I wasn't we were out of town, but they did it in the Lafayette.
I was at the stake off.
Yeah, so they should just.
Yeah, and the food trucks were in the back
So
and
they just walked around the building a couple times. So we'd like to sort of spread out, have a spot where we can get more of the community involved to show up, and it's both to raise some money, but also raise awareness to try to get folks to become volunteer fire company.
You might like after like your race, like you might like barf, like you like there's like you're done, and then you have a lot of sugar, and then you barf.
I think most of the people who eat donuts will just. Yeah,
Yeah,
he'll be one, he'll be right.
yeah, you'll be right with that. Yeah.
So, these people are just, they're donating, they do.
So it's organized by the fire company. The sponsorships are going to be going to the fire company.
It's like fun.
For profit, for nonprofit, I think that would be against our regulations, would it? But it'd help the park.
Exempt from the application.
Well, I'd be honest with you, if it's against the regulations, really change the regulations. Yeah, look at it. This is what we're here for, you know? So, that's cool. Cool. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Is the pavilions rented that day, you know?
Snow Pavilion at,
Oh, I thought you were gonna do this at,
no, it's a.
I'm sorry, I thought you were doing it over here at Community Park.
Community park.
Bring the community in. Community park might be another location if it gets too big for this. The goal is grow a little bit each year, and then we might need a new location if it starts to get as big as the.
Yeah.
You don't community, okay, I'm confused.
Motion that we would allow the fire company use of the park on June 10th in conjunction with their stake. Take off.
Second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. There you go. You're in business. And we're inviting you to run, all of you.
Racing is racism. So this is the kitchen, We need to do it.
Yeah, we probably need to.
All right, and thank you very much.
Thank you. And so I'm looking forward to it. That'd be cool.
It's just a matter of public comment, but basketball. As a neighbor across stream, there's the lights in the center makes some chink of the metal bats, basketballs. We're disruptive.
Under control, yeah. If it's a league, it won't be so bad. It's just kids that hang out there. So, and it's just-
Look at it, cool. Oh, we're gonna surface on.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Back to reality. Okay. So, of course, recreation.
So now they're using the baseball diamonds. The girls haven't showed up. So I guess they're not using it this year, but there's a couple other teams that come in and practice and things. And one Amish team from Gap came up there using. They said they talked to you that they use it sometimes if nobody's there. Went fella back here one day practicing with the team. I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Well, he talked to Charlie." He said, "As long as we practice here, and if there's anybody here, they'll leave or something, whatever." It's an Amishman who has a youth softball team. They're from Gap. Well, they guys is the closest field they could find that anybody let them use to practice. So they come out. They've been there once or twice, not very often, but next it's an Amishman coaching a boys team. It's a boys youth, like teenage softball team. Understood. He said he talked. He said he talked to you.
I did. Don't go.
Somebody called me.
People say, can we use a softball field? I said, there's somebody on it that has a reserve. You can't. And that might have been the extent of the.
Probably what it was, yeah. But they were back there. I was surprised to see a boys youth softball team. That was really surprising, but they were quiet. He was an Amish, been coaching the regular boys team. I don't think any were Amish on the team. I thought, wow, that's different.
You said there weren't any Amish on the team.
No, I didn't see any. They weren't dressed. They weren't dressed as Amish. He kind of was. He had pants on, his suspenders, and unless he just likes to dress that way. But he kind of had the haircut too, so,
It's an interfaith team, you know,
yeah.
different ways to participate.
Well, if they want to do it again, I'll get some videos the next time they come. Last year, there was a group of Orthodox Jews in the Amish playing a pickup softball game against each other.
That would have been.
It's white shirts and gold chains against the Amish.
What was funny is I saw that 2 times now, I've seen a couple of Amish teams. And they had boys and girls on both of them, and those girls are good. I mean, they're as good as the boys. You know, it's like, whoa. So very good. So, okay. Anything else?
I don't think so. They do any more with dugouts or something like that, I guess you should.
I was just gonna say, I haven't gotten any reports on building dugouts, batting cages, nothing.
Okay.
That was at the beginning of the season, so they kind of went to the wayside again.
All right, grounds, buildings and trails.
At your May meeting, I'll have a updated pavilions. I try to update you right around May or June, and then one late summer. So I'll have that for the board next month. The playground equipment has been ordered, and at this point, we have a ship date of the second week of June. So once that's in, and we did find out a stormwater management plan, so everything's a go. The only other thing I had was tomorrow we have a follow-up meeting with a distributor on security cameras for the pavilions. We're figuring one at the Rotary, High and Lions, and also one at the Clark. So we met with our IT guys, met with the distributor, and told him what we're looking for. He came back with some suggestions. We made some changes. He's coming back with some quotes tomorrow afternoon, so we can look at it. Then we'll have to look at the budget. So that's in process. Hopefully, I have better report next month. And that should be it.
I just have one question. Over here, you said at the ball diamonds, they could turn off a certain time of night. How expensive is it to get timers that turn lights off, like in the pavilions or something?
I don't know if they turn off at night. I think it's in the agreement to say if an inning has started before 10 o'clock, they're allowed to finish it.
Okay. That's what it is down at Paradise.
Pretty sure that's, they have control of the lights. So if it gets any later than that, then they're in violation of the agreement. But it's been years since I read it, but sure that's about.
We just need back.
Start the inning prior to a certain time. Be able to.
York has that same, stipulation that if you started.
That's the Paradise Park. That's the you start. I was just curious, because lots of times when I go to bed at night, I look out the back and none of the pavilion lights are going up in the morning. All 3 pavilions have their lights turned on. You know, I go like 10:30 at night, and who's back here at night that time? And they
At
have
the
the
community park, yeah, we get dust dawn lights in there.
pavilions.
I'm pretty sure we've got
Somebody bypasses them in. They're on all night. Lots of times I get up in the morning, they're still on.
every one of the lights.
Much, sometimes not so much one behind me, but the 2 big ones back there lots of times.
I'll have to look into that. I don't think.
So. Cause I got one more thing. It looked like a Christmas tree back here. All the lights are on. It's like, good grief.
Are we no longer putting mini discs in the bins for?
We haven't for a while because they kept getting stolen. And I think we just ordered some so we could put some back in, but they're not gonna get legs and fly away, but they will fly away, walk away. Yeah, we can put a couple.
Yeah, because I was there today and there wasn't any in either box. So, I was gonna say, if we're not going to do it, then we should take the boxes out, but otherwise we should at least have a a little budget for discs that we,
We just got all the box.
not that they have to be there all the time, but maybe say, okay, we're gonna put in 10 a month, and when, if they're gone, they're gone, and then next month you put 10 more, and kind of space it out, but, if we're not gonna put them in there, we should move the box, take the boxes out then.
Yeah. But I'd like to have, because they're fairly cheap. Might as well. Until,
Well, I
unless,
think people have to realize that they're the smaller discs too, so that they're not, bringing the bigger ones.
Get an oldies box, put a quarter in the top opens.
all right,
That box will disappear before,
What?
that box will disappear before.
Yeah.
CV Regional Recreation Program, still on the agenda here. And we'll keep it on as long as we have it.
We're looking for a date.
Yeah, we're treading water still, still haven't had communication from your consultant. They'd have contact with the state folks who see that program. They're also efforting to make contact with her. We are trying to set up a meeting, the rest of us. At this point, waiting for people to respond. Still working on it, still keep it on the agenda.
Sure. Sure. Coalition of the Willing, I think is the phrase, right? That's the way I do it. Okay, good.
We're still making nice progress over there on an extension on the road. The Walnut Street extension, that looks like it's really moving along.
Moving ahead.
That's nice. You can go over Will Road, look across there, see across there, pretty nice. It's gonna be handy.
Okay, old business. Okay, hearing none, new business. And this item, just so that we could, anticipating Charlie's request for, I've been through this before, so requesting for proposed expenditures to be included in 2024. We don't have to start the process, but I'm just trying to think, is there anything we want to do? Obviously, we want to look at the plan. That's one good thing. Is there anything else that we want to talk about before to get started on that? One thing I might suggest is that everybody look at the plan. I guess we ought to look at I'm trying to remember how the items we did last year or this year, how they relate to what's happening this year. I think there were some subsequent steps for Gibbons Park that went out.
Well, the engineering, we had requested the engineering for this year,
and
that's proceeded.
And then but there were steps that followed on from that I guess we're going to plan for 2024. And I think those would probably be the major items, but we'll see if there's anything else.
We did apply for funding to construct in Gibbons Park. I reported on it.
Yes, I remember that.
We're still waiting on that decision.
Okay. Good. Well, so why don't we do this? Everybody come prepared to discuss it at the next meeting and see if we want to get the whiteboard out there and see if anybody has any priorities that they want to suggest. Anything from the plan or anywhere else, and we can proceed from there. So that's that. I mean, does that work for everybody? Okay. All right.
One thing I'd forgotten to ask, the fellow over there took over Brad Kaiser's house. He's had no more problems with anybody going in there, if you haven't heard. The campers and stuff that were in there, those kids were over there and building 10
Yeah, we had a problem. He didn't necessarily have a plan with that. We did.
Okay.
We did meet with him and his wife last week about the bridge that they had constructed over the mill race. And so I think we came to an understanding that he would remove that.
Oh, he did. The owner.
Well, the mill race belongs to the park,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
How
the
do
property lines are interesting and historic and related to the mill itself. So we have control of the mill race, but there is a portion of the mill race that's technically on others' property, including a portion that's on his property. But my understanding of the property lines, the top of the bank on the park side of the property is the parks. So anything that would be put on the top of the bank would be on park property. He did not agree with that view and expressed that, but still in terms of access to the property, it's not an open park at this point. So we asked him to remove the structure, and I think the understanding was that he would.
Good. Okay. All right, anything else? We have no more public comment. We have nobody on,
There is no one on Zoom and there's been no email.
Just one last thing, actually bringing that back to the trail. Right now it's on schedule to start paving that the end of this week or the beginning of next week. From Mill Cross Road to the School of Health Science, and then proceed from there to Route 30 while they're still working on the bridge. But paving is planned to start late this week, next week.
will the trail be open then before the road?
Well, the bridge has to be completed.
Oh, that's true, yeah, because the trail is open.
So they are moving forward, August, September opening.
I thought it's moving
Final
on.
completion is November, but with a punch list with a substantial completion.
It looks when you look down off Willow Road and even down from the bike, it's to see how much dirt got moved. Street there.
It's dirt.
Reminds me of when they built 441 through Chickies. I remember sitting up there watching them do that. There was a whole lot more rock there.
wow.
Only other thing I wanted to mention is I did sign letters out to all greenhouses asking for flowers, so that's here shortly. And I did have contact with a gentleman who is a township resident. He's also the general manager of the barn stores. And he's interested in working with the youth groups to eventually, I think, come before you about field needs that the different youth groups have. So I think in the future, you can expect a visit from him or several people related to them.
And for these, they want to do it, should they?
Field needs for fields.
Baseball fields.
I think a variety of fields is the sense that I get. So,
Yep. Okay. Good to know. All right. Yeah, anything else? Anyone else have anything? All right. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.